This is lecture number DR034WS08. This is the 34th of the Mega Genius lectures and the 8th and final lecture of the Whole Truth series. It was recorded on November 22nd, 2000. The title of this lecture is For You the Light Shines. It is 24 minutes long. Copyright 2000 by Mega Genius. All rights reserved. This lecture is protected by internationally valid copyright. It may not, in whole or in part, be duplicated, transmitted, or otherwise reproduced without the express permission of Mega Genius. Unauthorized translation, importation, or distribution is a violation of applicable laws. Mega Genius is a United States federally registered trademark and service mark. And now, here is Mega Genius.
In the Genius Formula series of Mega Genius lectures, I promise to teach you how to think exactly like a genius. In the Uncommon Sense series, I promise to teach you how to think particularly intelligently about dozens of commonly troublesome subjects. In the Whole Truth series, I promise to show you the infinite extent of the workability of the Genius Formula. In essence, I promised you wisdom. Those were all promises kept. The distinguishing characteristic of all wisdom, knowledge worth knowing, is that it induces readers to view from new perspectives that increase understanding. Does life in this universe look different now that you are beginning to think more intelligently? Are you even viewing it from the same universe? Except for the subjects of the Genius Formula and truth, we have barely begun to explore the truth about anything. But I have presented the amount of truth that most individuals of at least average intelligence can understand with minimal difficulty. There is much more I could tell you. To the same appreciable extent that we explored the topic of truth, we could have applied the Genius Formula to the matter of life or death, or religion, or the human mind, or the psychic realm, or any other subject. If we consider these lectures to be the first step, we could travel for a light year and beyond, but then you would be learning to think like a mega genius by applying the Genius Formula at all times, which would require considerably more of your time and mine. Nevertheless, you can and should apply the Genius Formula to those subjects or any others that interest you. As you assimilated these revelations of the Genius Formula, I am sure you had many realizations, even cognitions of magnitude. Truth results in that effect. For example, as you explore the subject of truth with the guidance of a perfect application of the Genius Formula, you may have felt happy, exhilarated, light, serene, ethereal, or even a sensation of floating. Perhaps a more intelligent view of the subject of truth has changed your life or your relationship with your fellow man. Indeed, unless you are closely associated with some merchant of falseness, or in a turbulent environment, or being particularly affected by a drug, you may even have slipped your truth distortion lens out of position and peeked over its rim. You could even have received a face full of stardust. If you did not, you were closer than you think. If applying the Genius Formula seems at all difficult, really it is not. Just slide into it. You don't have to begin in what may seem like three directions at the same time by expanding, examining, and excluding simultaneously. Exercise your mind by expanding your attention throughout one day, examining things thoroughly the next day, and excluding assumptions the following day. Stay with it. Use the formula. It will quickly become easier and soon second nature. You will begin to see yourself, your associates, and your environment more accurately. You will never be the same again. Hopefully you discovered a few megatruths with which you disagreed, perhaps emphatically. Great! That was one of our primary objectives, to identify fundamental, potentially self-evident truths of particular importance which result from a perfect application of the Genius Formula and seem foreign to your way of thinking. Recognize their value. They are your unrecognized megatruths. They are personal primary barriers to your thinking like a genius. Identify the megatruths with which you disagree. Rise above your disagreements. Attack them with the Genius Formula. Expand your attention from the mere fact that you disagree and perceive your disagreements objectively. Examine thoroughly your disagreements. Exclude all assumptions. To the degree that you do that, you will see the falseness in your disagreements magically evaporate, and, thereby, your actual disagreements dissolve, which are your primary barriers that have been preventing you from thinking like a genius. Now, a person of average intelligence often fails to distinguish opinions and facts. A genius continually differentiates between opinions and facts. A megagenius thinks much more discriminatingly. One distinguishing characteristic of a megagenius is the ability to consistently differentiate between facts and truth. Facts are real, but seldom true. I'll explain. An opinion is merely a view or belief. When persons decide to subscribe to the opinion, their agreement results in a reality among themselves that constitutes a fact. Since it is a megatruth that decisions by consensus are usually more wrong than right, facts are real, but seldom true. Truth, however, is the total absence of falseness and is a world apart. Just a few centuries ago, it was a fact that Earth was flat. That was an agreement shared by almost everyone, and the consequence was a reality beyond criticism or question. It was a fact. One could even have been imprisoned for saying it was not. Yet it was far, indeed, from the truth. Recently, it was a fact that the great earthquake of Calcutta killed more than 500,000 persons in the 18th century. Look it up in any list of Earth's great catastrophes. It was an agreement shared by authoritative historians. It was a fact. Any researcher who said it was not would have been ridiculed. Yet it has now been discovered that a British newspaper had long ago disseminated false information. It was a typhoon that had killed no more than 1% of that amount. The great earthquake of Calcutta never happened. The fact was far, indeed, from the truth. Today, it is a fact that no intelligent life forms besides man operate within this solar system. It is an agreement shared by the majority of the populace and publicly supported by the United States government. It is a fact. Yet that fact is far, indeed, from the truth. Here is another megatruth. Higher intelligence is directly proportional to one's ability to differentiate between facts and truth. Facts are agreeable opinions which usually reflect various degrees of falseness. Truth is the total absence of falseness. Avoid the fatal mistake of the masses. Teach yourself to differentiate between the two. It is time exceedingly well spent. Now I want to briefly address my assertions about the attitude of other intelligent beings in this galaxy. Those who have access to particular materials classified top secret and above by intelligence organizations and committees of the United States government are acquainted with such terms as magic, MJ-12, EBs, Greys, Nordic, Orange, Area 51, S4, Dreamland, Project Sigma, Yellow Fruit, Sea Spray, and so forth. I too am familiar with those classifications, committees, species, projects, and security forces that relate to extraterrestrials. My statements about the intentions and thought processes of other intelligent life forms in the vicinity of our star system, however, are based on personal research of a considerably greater scope and depth, and include extensive information not currently available to the United States intelligence community or, for that matter, any government of Earth. I may release much more information about that subject in another lecture series in the near future, for there is a wealth of specific data that I could tell you about that matter. By the way, if you could stand way back way, way, way back and view the merged physical universe and life universe, and it can be done, you would realize that the physical universe is the truth distortion lens. More specifically, the atomic particles and wavelengths and other energies and time and other components of the physical universe that surround and affect you, a life entity, constitute your own truth distortion lens. It is a bit esoteric, but quite true. To explain how it all works would certainly require another lecture series, which I may decide to release in the future, but all that you need to understand at this time is that it is very much a type of lens. It uniquely alters what one sees, hears, touches, etc., and how one thinks, thereby very substantially distorting all of one's perceptions of the truth, unless one is intelligent enough to counteract the distortion by applying the genius formula. Then the truth shines through and everything begins to look different. For example, here are 10 more megatruths. Courage is the ability to confront evil. All evil is composed of falseness. Any religion is as invalid as it results in mystery and coercion, and as valid as it results in understanding and freedom. All unwanted conditions endure due to an inability to understand. All unworkable solutions result from an inability to understand. All inability to understand results from inadequate perception and differentiation due to an insufficient application of the genius formula. Mankind operates in conflict to the degree that it has been fooled. Those who deny great truth to others know the least of it themselves. Mankind operates as a brotherhood to the degree that it knows truth. The mystery of life is essentially the inability to accurately identify its ultimate purpose and objective. Now, I have not yet told you the most fundamental reason the genius formula is effective and of incalculable value. Basically, the only reason the genius formula works is that all along the road to truth it clarifies, identifies, and reveals life's ultimate objective and, thereby, the ultimate purpose of life. The whole reason for man's existence is to learn to think more intelligently, which can be achieved by using the genius formula, so as to perceive accurately, which can be achieved by using the genius formula, so as to understand thoroughly, which can be achieved by using the genius formula, so as to totally be and know truth. Man is trying to understand everything. One achieves understanding by 1. Proper thought, and then 2. Proper perception, a form of communication, which together constitute the essence of the genius formula. Here are 2 more megatruths. The ultimate purpose of life is to know total truth. Total truth is ultimate truth. The ultimate objective of life is total truth. Mankind does not yet know enough truth to realize that total truth is what everyone is chasing like a greased pig through the midnight of ignorance. The horrible, debilitating, heartbreaking malady that he suffers from is truth deprivation. The antidote is the genius formula. For you, the light shines. Now, I am sorry if I have offended anyone by the truth I have revealed and the china I have broken. It was really not my intent. If you are associated with an occupation, organization, study, practice, or school of thought that you think I should have bowed to more deeply, I apologize. My intent was merely to introduce and explain the genius formula, apply the genius formula perfectly, and explain in and interesting and understandable manner a very small portion of the truth that perfect application reveals, sacrosanct opinions collapsing as they may. Yet I know that to accomplish my objective it was necessary to fracture a few misplaced pillars. I have never met a person whom I did not love and understand. Whenever I take exception, it is never to the person, it is only to the action of the person. Criminals, for example, are in the wrong profession. Physicians, anthropologists, nuclear physicists, other scientists, economists, educators, magicians, prison officials, children, parents, politicians, etc., should not take my poking at them for fun too seriously. Life is not serious. For instance, I do not think all politicians are ineffective. I am confident that competent politicians exist. Again, I think I may have met one once. Regardless, probably only cruciverbalists got off easily. They design crossword puzzles. If anyone still feels hurt or argumentative, here is the deal. Look at the extent to which you have a vested interest in your criticized actions that may make it profitable for you to continue them. In return, I offer a drop of modesty. Again, I say, I am an immodest man who truly has much to be modest about. No one is perfect. For example, I am fortunate to count among my friends many of the most celebrated beings on this planet, such as Muhammad Ali, 3-time heavyweight boxing champion of the world, and the person with the most recognized face on earth. Yet Muhammad was knocked down once, and is not recognized by everyone. And my friend Doris Day, a truly gracious individual who was the #1 female box office motion picture star, yet she never won an Academy Award. And Jonathan Winters, probably the funniest person in the world and a non-stop riot in his private life, yet Johnny is not everyone's favorite comedian. And my longtime friend Connie Francis, whom I first became acquainted with in the 1960s. I can still recall her private telephone number from those days. It was Edison 86689. They don't have telephone numbers like that anymore. By actual record sales, Connie Francis was the #1 female vocalist in the world, yet Connie is not always in top voice. And there was Juliet Prowse, Las Vegas show star, fiancée of Frank Sinatra, and one of the world's most famous dancers, but she could not always dance perfectly. And there is Lee Merriweather, the television star and stunningly beautiful former Miss America, but her beauty is not flawless, not when you are holding her in your arms, as I have done. It's just almost flawless. And I recall a world-famous concert pianist who confessed to me that he occasionally hit a piano key in error. But, he revealed, I just quickly play around it, and the critics rave about my improvisational genius. The point is that no one is perfect, and I, too, am far from that. Thank you for having listened to the wisdom that I have thus far shared with you. Have you realized what we have actually done? For the first time, we have intelligently examined our thought processes and refined them with the Genius Formula. Then, having learned something of great value that we could actually use, we applied it expansively, progressing from subjects that were close to home, such as bodies, sex, children, parents, and happiness, to those beyond the home, such as friends, educational institutions, problems of society, and politics, to those traditionally beyond our civilization's control, such as death, luck, psychic phenomena, ethics, and wisdom. Did you notice? My intent was to expand your attention and understanding into greater spheres of responsibility. Then we actually thought ourselves through and right out of the physical universe. Now we could apply the Genius Formula to the life universe, which would require about an equal number of lectures. I will release many more lectures in the future, called Mega Genius Intelligence Briefings, which will help to complete your understanding of the innumerable facets of the physical universe that you are operating within. All things considered, having listened to these lectures is probably the best thing you have ever done for yourself. Now I ask you to do 3 things for both of us. 1. Realize that the Genius Formula is what you have always needed, and continually apply to the best of your ability all that you have learned. 2. Soon listen again to these lectures to discover what you missed. From the viewpoint that you now have, you will be surprised, I promise. 3. Do what is probably the best thing you have ever done for others. Inspire those within your sphere of influence to obtain their own copies of these lectures too. By that simple and beautiful act, you can significantly help change this world for the better. Just look around. Your help is desperately needed. Things do change. From moment to moment, nothing in the physical universe remains exactly the same. But things do not necessarily change for the better. Always remember this earlier mega-truth, which I now tell you for the 3rd time. Planets change significantly for the better only when a person with sufficient intelligence to see enough truth communicates that truth to large numbers of people who have the intelligence to recognize it as truth and, therefore, ensure that it is communicated to others. Then people change. Then countries change. Then planets change. Only then do they really change. That is straight out of a perfect application of the Genius Formula. The wise will believe it. Also, please remember, any time you cannot laugh, you are off the track. I hope that your listening to these Mega Genius lectures has resulted in a more inviting future for you. One's future is always more important than one's past. As I speak these final words of the Whole Truth series from high on the tallest volcano on Earth, on a small island in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, the most remote land on Earth, I see from my study that the entire sky is bathed in a kaleidoscope of violet, fuchsia, and indigo. I think it is befitting that a new and glorious day is dawning. You are part of it. It dawns for you. I would be happy to hear from you regarding any questions you may have about either these lectures or personal matters. I have the answers, the most intelligent answers, and you may contact me about them directly and personally by following the Ask Mega Genius instructions at the megagenius.com website. As I release new lectures, they will be made available to you through that website. Anyone is as free as he has the opportunity to choose. The only thing anyone has ever objected to was a lack of choice. Finally, the opportunity to choose to think in a supremely intelligent manner exists for you and all of mankind. You have always wondered just what was really wrong with this Milky Way galaxy's largest open-air asylum. It has been a lack of intelligence. You have also wondered what specifically could be done to effectively correct it. Now you know. If you care about your future and that of your family members, friends, country, and planet, please do 2 things. Use the Genius Formula and promote these Mega Genius lectures of wisdom. That is the first step of a solution that truly works.